Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Start Marketing Podcast. This is Joe Sanders. Thanks for being here. Today's episode, we're going to talk about lead generation as it relates to social media and how you can actually generate leads, which generates business on social media instead of just watching your post fly around and feeling good about yourself that somebody gave you a smiley face on them. We have Jillian Kearns with us today. Jillian, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks.
She is calling us in today from Pittsburgh, right?
That's right. Recently moved.
That's right. But this technology is, it feels like you're just next door, Jillian. As we do in before every episode, I always like to break down the 5 steps we use in order to be successful using digital marketing and social media. You can find all this in a book called Stop Posting, Start Marketing, which is available on Amazon. Our 5 steps are to find the right audience. Second is to create the right content. Third is to promote your business as a brand. The fourth is to use ample resources. And fifth is analyze the results. As always, you can find episodes on the Start Marketing Podcast that break down each of those categories for you in depth, or you can grab the book, as well as other topics that we discuss. I would say that's a good framework to have a strategy before you go into digital marketing. And so that's a great place to start. But let's jump into what we're going to talk about today. So I hear this a lot from people. They don't understand, or they feel like nobody can prove to them that digital marketing or social media in general actually works. Clients will tell me, and Jillian, I'm sure you can attest to this as well. Oh, that's great that you got 300 likes on my post. And that's great that somebody commented, and that's great. But how does that put money in my pocket? Well, I am here to tell you, and I think Jillian's going to hopefully you could back me up. That's why I brought her on the episode today. Hopefully she will not disagree with me, but I know she won't, that there are tangible ways to use social media marketing in order to actually generate leads for your business. Okay. Now, before we go into too much of this, I want to contrast what most companies are doing when it comes to lead generation. There are sites out there, and I'm not knocking these at all. I just want to tell you the facts are what they are. There's sites called Houzz. There's sites called Angie's List and a few others like that, where if a lot of people that are buying leads are professional services, contractors, and whatever, you are buying into a lead pool, which means if Jillian is a lead for a new kitchen remodeling company in her area, in Pittsburgh, by the way, then what will happen is that she will be a lead for Pittsburgh for kitchen remodeling. It will go to 30 different contractors that do kitchen remodeling at the same time. And then they will then call Jillian and try to get her business. In the same token, those 30 businesses can also be served to her, and then she can sort through and pick out one she wants. That is not what we are talking about today. We are talking about you creating your own leads on social media. So Jillian, we'll start with Facebook, but tell me, how does this work? Like, what is the difference between running a campaign, an ad, or a post or something where you're asking people to like, comment, and share, as opposed to asking them to actually give you some information? Tell people about how we do that, and then how does that work in terms of actually making this like real and putting money in my pocket?
Right. So leads are specific information that individuals give that you can follow up with about your product or service. And social media is making that really easy. Like you said before, I think it's hard for a lot of our clients to look at the metrics and understand how their social media campaigns are working. But with leads, you can kind of hand deliver them a person that's interested in their business. So on social media, it all happens internally. The form is within, social media, say Facebook. So it makes it really easy for you to create, and also really easy for the customer to use, because it can pre-populate that form with their information already. So with just a couple clicks on their phone screen, they can be giving you really valuable information for you to follow up with them. And it's a real, tangible customer that wants to hear from you.
Yeah, that's exactly, it's well said. And one point that you mentioned there, which is really important, is that you don't actually leave Facebook. And we'll talk about Facebook, I guess, more specifically. You don't actually leave Facebook. And that makes sense, because think about it. If you owned a social media company, or if you're Mark Zuckerberg and you own Facebook, you don't want people leaving your site. The longer, generally speaking, the longer somebody stays on your site, the more money you're going to make. So for years and years and years, what people were doing is they were creating landing pages and they were sending people to their website. Landing pages being a one-page website created to convert a client, and like give me your name, your phone number, and whatever. Or they would people were sending them to their website. So they create an ad, they create a post on Facebook or whatever, and then they send them to a website or a landing page. Now, it works well. I mean, we did that. We still do that. And that, I'm not saying that equation doesn't work, but Facebook's really smart, right? And they're like, hey, what if we just create these internal forms that actually populate when somebody clicks on the ad? And now instead of them just clicking on the ad and it's saying, go here, now they just click on the ad, stay on the ad, and then put in that information that the business is looking for and looking to get. And so and it's actually a much more of a trustworthy way to do it, because if you have an old website or maybe a brand nobody's familiar with, they may not want to give you their information. They might feel like you're going to get spammed or whatever. And I guess you could still do that. But if your business has an ad on Facebook, it kind of gives you the credibility of people being like, well, I'm on Facebook, I should be at least somewhat protected. Although I don't know, maybe there's another school of thought where people that would think the complete opposite because it is Facebook. But yeah, and then you collect that information, and that's kind of how you do it. Now, when we create, so let's move on to the next thing. Now, hopefully everybody understands. I know there's a lot of people on there that actually may not have known this, that you can actually do this. You can actually create an ad, collect information, and get leads directly from Facebook. So that can happen. You can also do it on Twitter. You can also do it on Google Ads, even though that's kind of like a new thing. But Jillian, so when I create these lead forms, we'll call them, what kind of information, I'll ask you two ways. What kind of information can you collect? What kind of information should you collect if you're from your potential customer?
Right. So these forms are really great because they also give you the ability to customize kind of as much as you want. I find it best to keep it really simple. Even though people are giving you their information, they generally don't like to feel like they're giving too much. So I think the best thing to do is generally email and name, sometimes maybe phone number, depending on the client. But just those 2 or 3 things can be really powerful for your client.
Right. And, we have been doing lead generation forms for years and years. I know Facebook's had this for a while. It was sort of hidden under a rock, kind of hidden in the Facebook tools, and there are plenty of them. And then if you remember, actually, I remember the day we started using these. You remember when Kyle was working here, and Kyle came up with this idea. He goes, we should try this. And I'm like, okay. And so one of our awesome employees, Kyle, who's moved on, but who is not dead. He's just moved on to the company, did this for us. And then, during that time, we were probably one of, a slew of companies using this. Over time, Facebook has absolutely revamped this. They've made this not hiding under a rock tool, but a prominent tool. And then recently, and even in the past 9 months, they've done a huge overhaul of the lead generation forms. And it's actually pretty intuitive now. But let's go back to that content. So it's really important and to collect the right information. And the reason I was going back to saying with Kyle, because at the beginning of this, we could get 30 to 40 to 50 leads a week for a client. And we were like patting ourselves in the back, like, we are awesome. Right, Jillian? We're like, we are awesome. Clients come back to us and goes like, these are crap leads. Like, this is not good. Well, why is that? Well, it's somebody's interested in they see my ad, they see my post, they're interested, they click on it and then get the information and they're no good. So what we learned over time is that there's an art to this. And what you have to do is you have to take your lead form and ask the right questions and the right amount of questions. Because what we did is we took one of our companies from 40 leads a week down to less than 10 leads a week, maybe 5 to 10 leads a week. But the leads we were getting them were solid. They were super happy with us because this is not about getting as many as you can. It's about getting people that are actually interested in what you want them to do. So here's how I look at this. You have to make sure that in your lead form and in your ad, you're giving the right information. You have the right audience. Like I said earlier, we have a 5-step process for this. It's all in the book. If you want to learn more about it, we go into depth on this, but start there and make sure that your ads are right. But once you get them to the lead form, some of the information you're going to get will be auto-populated. So what's auto-populated, Jillian, on the lead form? What is it?
Just fills in the information for you based on your profile.
Right. So it's what? Name, email address,
usually
phone number. Is that auto-populated? Okay. And then probably zip code. So you can pick what things you want to auto-populate. And that's great. But if you stop there, you're going to get tons of leads that you don't want. What you have to do is create, through the questions you ask, what kind of a person are you interested in getting, and is the person interested in spending enough time filling out this form? Because if they are, then most likely they're going to be a better client, a quality lead as opposed to another one. So what we usually do is use this rule. We will ask 2 multiple choice questions and 1 open-ended question. So let's, for example, say that we're a painting company and we're looking for leads. We might ask them we would tell Facebook to auto-populate their name, their email address, their zip code. And then we would say multiple choice. Is this for interior or exterior? They have to pick one or they can't submit the form. The next one would be, when are you looking to get this done? 5 options. Today, next 3 months, 6 months, a year from now, whatever. They have to pick this. And then the big one is the open-ended question. So we might have an open-ended question that says, can you please tell us some details about your upcoming painting project? And they have to type in something. Now, if somebody is just clicking through ads, or maybe there's some robots out there, what do they call those? Trolls or robots, right? Or whatever, Facebook robots. Yeah, the bots, they're not going to be able to do this. Then when you get that form back, you say, okay, this person picked interior, they picked the next 6 months, and then they wrote, I just closed on my house. I'm looking to get this blah, blah, blah. And we're putting in blue carpeting, and I'm looking for somebody to come out to my house and advise me. That's a quality lead. Okay. That's what you want. So you have to figure this out, because you want to ask enough questions, but not too many questions. Because generally we've done this before. What happens when you ask too many questions? What happens?
They don't want to give all that information. They'll drop off. Right.
So if you ask too many questions, now you're too far away on the spectrum. Now you're saying, well, I'm going to ask you 10 questions, 5 open-ended questions, 5 multiple choice questions. You're probably not going to, that's probably not going to happen. Nobody is probably that interested. And if they are, I don't know, you might end up just getting one person to do it. And that's not going to be really a good use of your money, depending on what your sales cycle is like. It could be a couple of weeks, could be a couple of months. You really want to get those leads coming in. So you have to craft the number of questions that you ask, and it has to line up. You have to line up your ad to what it is that you're actually promoting to the questions that you're asking. Does that make sense? So if you're a roofing, siding, and windows company, and you're asking people who want to quote on windows, that means your ad has to be about windows. The lead form has to be about windows, and the questions have to be about windows, not about siding and not about roofing, right? You have to keep the marketing equation in line so that it actually works. But, Jillian, there's other industries that we can use for too. Now, we talked a lot. I was talking a little bit today about the trades. What other kind of businesses can use lead forms? What are we doing right now?
Yeah. So a lot of event, party, and wedding consultations are great to use leads for. Medical and spa, trying to get some first-time clients for those. They could also be really effectively used just for gathering emails for a client's newsletter. I'm doing that for a client right now. And like you said, home services is a big one. Yeah.
And I think we were doing this during the pandemic too. And they were, it's still going on, but we when everything was just closed, there are wedding venues that we work with were just dead, unfortunately, but there was people out there looking for venues for maybe for this time or maybe next year. And lead forms are a great way for people to say, hey, if you're interested and you want more information about our banquet hall or about having a wedding here, give us your information. Somebody can reach out to you. I love the idea about collecting email addresses, because I think we've been focusing today a lot more on direct sales and but it doesn't necessarily have to be that. The lead generation collection the information you collect in a lead generation form can be whatever it is that you want it to be. If all you're looking to do is collect email addresses for a newsletter, that's a great use of the lead forms, because if you don't do that, then you have to send them to a website. And a lot of people, I think, especially small business owners or even mid-sized business owners, the idea of having to have a web designer create another page, go through the process of putting on your website and blah, 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 blah. This is easy, much easier to do. And why don't you speak a little bit to So, when that happens, and maybe this is the point, when that happens on Facebook, where does that information go? So they type it in, give me the information, and then what happens to the information once they put it in there? Where does it go?
Yeah, Facebook has like a little portal, a little lead center where all of your leads will come in and you can look through and they have IDs attached to them. And however the client wants to do it, after the lead comes in, some of them like you to send you those leads personally, like to their email. Some of them like to have like automated things come up afterwards. But yeah, there's a lead center that makes it really easy to see all the information instead of what you want to do after the fact.
Yeah, there's like 3 different ways, and they keep making this better. But the first way is just you go collect the information, literally download it on an Excel spreadsheet, take the information, you can do what you want with it, send it to do whatever you want. The second way to do it is to have it just live in the portal. Maybe you don't want to export the information. Go to the lead center, organize to there. The third way to do it is to connect your customer service, customer resource management tool. Let's see, whatever your CRM is, Hootsuite, not Hootsuite, HubSpot. So if you have HubSpot, for example, it's a popular one, or whatever else is out there, you can connect this. Salesforce is another one. You can connect this right to that. So as soon as you get a lead, the information just pops in and it goes on a list that you want, and you're managing it, and it can go right to your sales team or your business development team, or whoever you want to have the information come to them. They actually make it really easy to manage this information. And Jillian, I didn't even tell you this, but I'm using this. I signed up for this service last month called Priver, and it's a lead generation management app that works with Facebook. It's not owned by Facebook, but I was going to send you an email, and I probably should have told you this before this podcast, but I'm going to send you an email to use this because I love the way that Priver organizes the data. And every time the lead comes in, I get an alert immediately, and then it can manage it all in my Priver app. It's one of these things that we see with Facebook sometimes where somebody else just comes up with a better way to do it. And you know what I mean? And then Facebook it usually ends up buying the company or just maybe licensing the technology. I find that Priver, and they are not paying to me to say this, but I'm finding that Priver, I think I'm saying that right, Privyr. I think that's how you say that.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, what I love is that I can manage all my leads, all my clients in one dashboard. Which is awesome. And then if every time they come in, I just get an alert right to my phone. So I'm actually going to set you up with that. It's not expensive. And I'm finding that really enjoyable. So Jillian, just to kind of recap this a little bit. I mean, are you finding that, well, before I ask you that, I guess I would just make a statement that not necessarily every company needs to use lead forms. It's not really for everybody, but I will ask you this. I mean, have you found the benefit of this for the clients that you're using this for? Is there a good benefit to using this as opposed to just telling people to click an ad or go to your website? Yeah,
definitely. I think I run leads for a good handful of my clients now, and I like to try, if they have it in their budget, to always find a way to incorporate leads into it. Like you said, it doesn't always need to be for direct sales. It could be for a different goal. You could be collecting subscriber information. You can encourage downloads of certain materials. You can offer a special offer to first-time customers. So if there's a way I can find to incorporate it, and if it's in the budget for a client, I will always do that because they've been so valuable lately.
Yeah, I agree. When we started doing this, and then we as an agency, I think we figured it out. And then now I think we have a really clear idea. It is a very powerful tool. I have seen it. I mean, some of our clients, more in the professional services or even in the wedding business. I mean, this is big money, and this could be $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. I mean, if I can send them 5 to 10 prospective clients a week, or in some cases, maybe that's all they're getting in a month, depending on how much they want to spend on the leads. I mean, that's a pretty powerful thing. And again, I'll go back to what I said earlier. This is totally different than getting one of those lead generation tools that everybody's getting. This is your own personal lead. Unless that person clicks on your competition's lead form is doing as well and fills that out, you are the only person, the only company that's going to have this. there's a ton of value in that, because I know companies get burnt out on these lead generation services. There's nothing wrong. I know plenty of clients that they've used Houzz and Angie's List, and they make a fortune, and they continue to make a fortune off of it. But it's a very different game. I would say you should do probably both, depending on how much time and resources that you have. But lead generation, especially on Facebook, is really powerful. Twitter is also powerful, not as quite as much. And Google Ads has been tiptoeing around this for probably 2 years now. They're still in beta mode. And when they figure this out, when Google figures out how to get people to click on a Google ad and not leave Google, my guess is that it will have something to do with Google My Business. And it will be like you click on it and then you just fill it out and go to the Google My Business page. That will change. Mm-hmm. That was going to change digital marketing forever. And it's probably coming sooner than later. So maybe that's just a plug to make sure your Google My Business is set up for maybe another show. Well, great. Well, hey, Jillian, thanks for being here all the way from Pittsburgh. Yeah, I know it was a long journey to record this. We're going to have to turn around and send you back now. No, we appreciate it. Thanks for listening, everybody. Again, please subscribe to our podcast. We like to put this information out as much as we possibly can. Hopefully this has been helpful. If you have any questions related to lead generation or anything about digital marketing, please shoot us a message. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram. Go to relevantelephant.net. If this is interesting to you, again, please subscribe, check out other episodes. More information can be found in the book, Stop Posting, Start Marketing. There's a worksheet in the back you can follow along. It's not too long of a book, and hopefully it'll help. And again, thanks so much for being here, and we'll catch you next time. And this is Joe saying, stop posting, start marketing.